Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the third Winter 2025-20 update. GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again. It's delayed from last week. Of course, we didn't do a winter update last week, so it's 2 weeks now since we did the second winter update. But we're back in business. I wasn't very well last week, but we're back in business this week. So the third winter 2025-20 update is going to be revealed for you in a moment. It's going to be a real epic. We've been sort of filling out the first couple of updates, I think, filling our way into the updates. But this one is going to be a true winter updates epic. We're doing it old school, and I should get on with it for you in a moment. Just to say, there is no other video today. It's not too late, so I'm recording this at midnight to do a 6 a.m. broadcast, or indeed a 10 to 14 day. So it's just a winter update today. So I hope you enjoy it, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much, dear Matt. Thank you so much to Shrine Bruin and to Terry Scotty, hashtag Team Gav, for all of the help on this video. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Right, okay, well, let's crack on then. We're going to begin with some analogues, actually. We're starting off with the Arctic Oscillation observed and forecast. So the black line shows where we've been with the Arctic Oscillation. The red lines have the Airwave GFS ensembles forecasting the Arctic Oscillation to go. So we're currently pretty strongly positive with the Arctic Oscillation. Going to stay pretty strongly positive for the next week or so. But as we go to the middle of October, our signs of the Arctic Oscillation will be going somewhat negative, so possibly signs of a blocking signal beginning to increase within high latitudes. Remember, it's always weather that's driving the index, so if the AO is positive because we've got low pressure up over the Arctic and over North Pole, if the AO is negative because we've got high pressure blocking over the Arctic and the North Pole. Now we go back to the summer, we can see that through the vast majority of this summer, the Arctic Oscillation was in a positive state. It was actually a top 10 positive AO summer in 2025. And so, well, you know the countdown at GavsWeatherVids. So, we're going to be looking at winters following the top 10 most positive Arctic Oscillation summers since 1950. Starting off at number 10, 1974, the winter of 74-75 was mild and wet with low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. That was a mild and wet winter, but we have there. Then we have number 9, 2017-2018. So this one, with plenty of low pressure sitting over and to the east of the country, with high pressure out to our west, and that brings the wind in from a north or a northeasterly direction. So, of course, a slightly colder winter in 2017-18 does include the beast from the east as well. Then at number 8, we've got 2021-2022, winter to forget, higher pressure to our south, low pressure to the north. It looked good up to Christmas 2021, then it all fell apart and made people kids cry. After that, it was just mild all the way. At number 7, the seventh most positive Arctic Oscillation summer was 1996. The winter of 96-97 looks like that. This analog doesn't really tell you all that much about the winter, to be honest. So it's a front-loaded winter, has the coldest weather in the early front part of winter, and then it gets progressively milder as the winter goes along, culminating in a very mild February. It does have a very cold New Year. At number 6, we've got 1983. So the winter of 1983-84, following the 6th most positive Arctic Oscillation summer, is a cold zonal, cold westerly, really, with winds in from a west to northwest sea direction. Cold snap potential with that winter, and wintry in the north, but like cold around the south. Now, that's where we are at number 5. So, in fact, the summer of 2025 was the 5th most positive AO winter since 1950. And if we average that all out, you know, that's how we come in at number 5. So what does the winter about 25-26 have in store? That is what we're trying to answer. Questions to answer. Questions. And we'll know by the beginning of December, or you will, I will, even, all of us will, what GavsWeatherVids is forecasting. At number 4, we've got 1989, the winter of 89-90 was exceptionally wet and exceptionally mild. Mild or wet winter there for 1989-1990. And then at number 3, we've got 2018 as the third most positive AO summer. The winter of 2018-2019, generally anticyclonic and pretty mild. Does have a bit of a cold snap in January, but very mild in February, of course. At number 2, we've got 2024. Last summer was the second most positive AO summer, so we've had the 5th and the 2nd back to back. The winter of 24-25 looks like that, with higher pressure sitting over and to the east of the country. And then finally, at number 1, we've got 1994. So yes, the summer of 1994 was in fact the most positive AO summer back to 1950. The winter of 94-95 was another of those mild, wet and windy 1990s winters, really, with low pressure to the north, high pressure down to the south. That brings us those southwesterly winds. Few cold snaps here and there, but overall a mild or a very mild, but also very wet winter. So putting all of that together, this is how all December's combined looking, following the top 10 most positive AO summers, with high pressure sitting close to the country, mainly dry then in the December. But what a flip into the Januaries, or Januaries combined, going much more unsettled. Low pressure takes over in the Atlantic with a strong westerly and zonal flow as well. And then all February's combined keeps the deluge going, so a combination really of very wet but mild months for January, for these Januaries and Februaries on average, because there will be years that are deviating and doing things differently, but overall very wet, mild there. And then finally all winters combined, following the top 10 most positive Arctic oscillation summers, looks like that. And it is a mild wet seal with low pressure to the north and high pressure down to the south, and up comes those southwesterly winds. But what about the NAO? Let's have a look at that. So at the moment, the North Atlantic oscillation is in positive territory, so both indexes positive at the moment. We're going to go more strongly positive, actually, with the Arctic oscillation over the next week or so. And then we see the AO falling away into the middle part of the month and going neutral to perhaps weekly negative. Now, we have been through a period of negativity of the NAO since about the middle of August. And even before that, the NAO, the North Atlantic oscillation, wasn't as positive as the AO. So a bit of a conflicting signal, perhaps fighting signal, between the AO and the NAO through this summer. It makes it very difficult to do analysis really for this this video in terms of the NAO back to the summer. Schreiner's attempted to pick out the closest matches, in terms of the North Atlantic oscillation number overall to where we currently are, and these are some of those years. So we've got 1955 close match in terms of the NAO through the summer of 1955. That was quite a hot summer as well. 1955, 1956 has high pressure out in the Atlantic. Low pressure is to our south and east. Oops, and that brings wind in for you. Starts mild but gets much colder later on. Freezing cold, sub-zero CT, February, severely cold there. Then we've got 61, 62. So the summer of 1961 again, coming out quite close to where we currently are in terms of the North Atlantic oscillation, or where we were back in the summer in terms of the NAO. This one with a mid-Atlantic ridge, low pressure to our east. So a bit of a forgotten winter. Really, in 61, 62. Does have some cold snaps coming and going. Also mild, stormy interludes. Gets very cold late on in winter. Has one of the coldest marches on record. Of course, it's preceding the following winter, which is pathetic. Okay, then we've got 1964, 1965. This one with above average heights out in the Atlantic, below average heights to our south and east. Winds again coming in from that east to northeasterly direction. So that has cold weather as well during that winter, especially later on, I think. Then we've got 1970, 1971. So this one has some quite cold weather in the early part of winter. It does actually have a white, crisp Christmas, which a lot of people have forgotten about now, since it's a very long time ago, but there is a white Christmas in much of the country in 1970. Remember, winter gets much milder as it goes on, so that's quite a front-loaded winter. 72, 73, just a winter to forget, really. Many of the early 70s winters were mild, mild winters. That's one of 72, 73, not really remembered greatly. We've got 76, 77 showing up next. So the summer of 1976, but daddy of hot summers, maybe, certainly for daddy of dry summers, was close to the summer of 2025 in terms of the NAO overall. This one again, front-loaded, cold through December into January, gets much milder into February. The analog has below average height to our south and eastern oceans, with deep trough into eastern and northeastern America, one of the coldest winters ever recorded for northern and eastern parts of America, especially later on into January, February of 1977. Then we've got 1990, 1991. This is a rather colder winter as well. So high pressure up towards Scandinavia, winds in from the east there, has the big freeze in February, first half of February of 1991, severely cold and, lots and lots of snow as well. Does get milder towards the end of the winter, later on in February. Has mild interludes as well. Of course, don't forget the Midland snowstorm of December 1990 either. 96, 97 is back again, once more front-loaded with higher pressure over and some east country, low pressure out to the west, winds coming up southerly, southeasterly direction. So starts cold, gets mild later on, has a really cold New Year. Then we've got 2002, 2003. Looks like it should be a cold winter. Wasn't particularly. Looks like it should focus high pressure towards Scandinavia. Cold snaps here and there, but overall that's a relatively mild winter. 2013, 2014, of course, is an absolute deluge of a winter with deep low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic and very storming with it as well. Just storm after storm after storm. Then we've got 2022, 2023, one of those bizarre analogs we get a lot of these days with, well, are we under high pressure, are we under low pressure, what's going on with that? Coldest weather of that winter is in the first half of December, well, up to about the 18th of December, I think. First 18 days of December were the coldest part of the winter, and pretty much about I was in New York. Well, never mind. We've also got 2024, 2025, last winter, again, another bizarre analog, above average heights, really, across much of northern and western Europe. So quite a dry winter, but not a memorable one. Right, putting all that together, this is how all Decembers combined are coming out following summers with a similar NAO to the summer of 2025. So we see above average heights such as Green Iceland, below average height down towards Spain, winds coming in from an easterly direction. Potential colder signal there. All January's combined, much more unsettled. Interesting about both of the analog packages, suggesting a wet January here with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Bit of blocking up to the north, but not enough to do much cold for us. Again, there will be years that deviate. There will be some cold Januaries in there, but overall a milder, wetter signal there. The Februaries are very interesting. All Februaries combined look like that. High pressure focus towards Scandinavia, low pressure down towards southern Europe, winds in from an easterly direction. Clearly, there is a cold potential there. Hold on. I'm sorry, everyone. Clearly very cold potential with those Februaries, and potentially very cold with some of them, such as 1991. And all winters combined, following summers with a similar positive North Atlantic oscillation. Looks like this. High pressure tend to be to the north, low pressure to the south. It is a signal, I think, for a backloaded, well, maybe slightly front-loaded and slightly backloaded, and then like a sandwich of milder, wetter weather in the middle. Who knows? But definitely February has the most interest. And overall, there's a bit of cold potential for some of those winters there. So quite interesting analogues. Thank you so to Shryan for sorting those out for us. Right, let's move straight on. Have a look at QBO. The quasi-binary oscillation is looking like this. It's coming from NASA, of course. These are levels of the atmosphere, 10 HPA, top of the atmosphere and stratosphere, 30 to 50 HPA, the boundary level of the atmosphere, what we call troposphere. This blue-green area is the descending easterly QBO, moving out of strat and down into to the troposphere. We are in a easterly QBO phase. It's actually gone very strong. So we've got the easterly QBO number in now for September. This should be showing all QBO months right way back to the 1940s. We come down to 2025 though. That's the year that we're particularly interested in. And look how this... Oh, sorry, again, everyone. Look how this eastern QBO phase has accelerated. So it begins there, which I think is May at minus 4.59, and then rapidly intensifies, going down to minus 22.28 in July, in August, I should say, and minus 24.26. Really strong eastern QBO phase in September. A rapid descent into a very, very strong easterly QBO phase. In a couple of weeks we might have a look at some data for ECQBOs. It'll be very interesting how those are shaping up. Remember, the QBO kind of tells us how strong the zona westerlies are. So when you've got a westerly QBO in the winter, it's primarily a winter drive. When you've got westerly QBO in the winter, there'll be a signal for a stronger sort of zonal flow, really. And when you've got an ECQBO, a weaker zonal flow. It's not as simple as that, but there have been many cold winters, or quite a few of them, with westerly QBOs, and a lot of very mild winters with easterly QBOs. So what's going on there? Well, maybe through reanalysis we'll try to answer that for you in a future update. Right, solar activity. This episode is looking on outside of this day from solarham.net. Sunspot regions galore. However, solar activity is at moderate levels, expected to remain at moderate levels over the next 5 days. This has come from Shrine Bloom. This has been GavsWeatherVids Solar Tracker. So, the orange line, orange spots pitching each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. Where the peak of Sunspot 25 appears to have occurred back around the late summer, early autumn of last year. Since then, we've been a bit up and down, but generally trending at a slightly lower level, albeit still close to solar maximum. We're currently around here, so the green line and blue line, which are trend lines for 30 and 90 days respectively, not really moving a great deal. Some days we find weaker sunspot numbers, and some days find more numerous sunspot numbers. It looks like we're in the very start of the descent out of solar maximum, but of course we've got to wait about a year or so to confirm that. Thank you, Sheriff Shrine, for sending that through. Right, okay, moving on to oceans data next. So this is our 4 interest areas we're looking when we did the last winter update, update number 2. That's the ENSO region just there, of course. See some temperature anomalies from Peru over to Indonesia, Northern Pacific up here, particular focus on the Northeast Pacific, Indian Ocean over there, Atlantic Ocean over there. By the way, a little bit later on in this video, we're going to go through, see some temperature anomaly maps all the way back to 1985, see if we pick out closest batteries to that, or to the current scenario. So, that's from the 18th September. So, this is the current scenario as of the 2nd of October. Excuse me again, everyone. So, let's deal with the ENSO region. First of all, yes, we do still have that signature for a weak La Nina with those colder than average sea surface temperature anomalies stretched out from Peru over to Indonesia. How has that developed over the past couple of weeks? Well, not much change, actually, overall. Possibly in the eastern portion of the actual Pacific Ocean, weakened slightly. In the central western portion, it might strengthen slightly. I don't think there's been all that much change, to be honest. We still have a weak signal for La Nina. Going further north into the northern and northeast of the Pacific, that's how things were looking. We're up here now. That's how things were looking a couple of weeks ago. This is how things are looking now. So cooling continues to take place up there in the northeast Pacific. That's possibly in response to the developing weak La Nina signature. And, well, we might push that on further and develop into a negative PDO type signal if we get the famous sort of horseshoe or reverse horseshoe shape of cold and average sea surface temperatures from Canada down towards Hawaii. Then we will be in a negative PDO phase. In the Indian Ocean, that's how things are looking. We're over here. Now, come on, highlighter. in the Indian Ocean. That's how things are looking a couple of weeks ago. That's how things are looking now. So the cold or negative IOD signature goes on. Cold and average seas of total there. Warmer over towards Indonesia. That's a negative IOD. And through analysis in a future update, we'll probably have a look and see how that may or may not impact our winter fate. Because the IOD, the Indian Ocean Dipole, isn't something I know a huge amount about. But as we said in the second update, we are in a negative IOD phase and expected to remain so. And then finally, for the autumn anyway, and then finally in the Atlantic, so this is how the Atlantic was looking a couple of weeks ago. We see some temperature anomalies. This is the latest. So we still have that small cold and average area, though it is shrinking. Otherwise, most parts of the Atlantic, as they have done over the past several years, looking generally above average. To me, that does not look like a tripole, I have to say. So a tripod would see those cold and average sea surface temperatures through there. It would be warmer then through there, and then down here, and that would be what I would classify as like a proper tripod. Other people are looking at that and suggesting that it is a tripod. I personally cannot see it, but there we go. You know, we all pays our money and takes our choice. And well, let me know in the comments what you think. Is that a tripod? I don't think it's anywhere near a tripod myself. But anyway, never mind about that. Let's move on to the 7-day change. So this is how things have changed in the oceans over the past 7 days with both sea surface temperatures. So, well, large portions of the exorbitant coast have actually warmed a little bit, but some areas are still cooling. The northeastern Pacific, definitely cooling there. Cooling through there, warming through there. That's negative IOD situation going on. Cooling has taken place towards the east seaboard of the Pacific. So if that was to continue, and you know, we develop a proper cold pool from Newfoundland all the way down the eastern seaboard, and then continue to warm things up through there and through there, then that would be a tripole setting up, because that's only a 7-day change. We need that sort of trend to carry on over the next few weeks and whatnot. Dealing with ENSO, so Southern Oscillation Index is looking like this. Remember, the SOI is an index that's reflecting the atmospheric state, measuring air pressure between Tahiti and Darwin, not driving anything in its own terms, just telling us what the atmosphere is doing. When the SOI, and then coming up with a daily contribution. So when the SOI is in a positive phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of La Nina. When the SOI is in negative phase, the atmospheric setup will be reflective of El Nino. So, well, we have some weekly positive numbers through there, more strongly on the 26th of September, but then go negative on the 28th and 29th of September. That's the outside setup, more reflective of El Nino. Then 1st of October, plus 13. 2nd of October, plus 15. That's more strongly positive with the Southern Oscillation Index. If we have a look at the 30-day trend, which is this red line just here, because the 90-day trend line doesn't move around anywhere near as much. That's the yellow dash line. You see, but we have actually weakened off the positive SOI signature over the past sort of 2 or 3 weeks. So we start off at PR around minus 5.5, around plus 5.5, I should say, and we've gone down close to neutral with the red line there, which tells us that for the time being, temporarily, the atmospheric setup has backed off a little bit, that La Nina signature. We should wait to see how that develops. CFSB2 is continuing to forecast a very weak La Nina. Currently we're around there. Of course, half a degree below average is the all-important number. So got to be around half a degree below average to be a minimum La Nina threshold. The same true for El Nino, half a degree above average for El Nino, of course. You got to run that over 5 tri-monthly periods as well. What happened last year is that we did actually reach, I think, La Nina thresholds, but we didn't run it over the required tri-monthly periods. Anyway, so it was never designated. So we're currently there. CFSB2 forecast, we're going to go, you know, into very weak La Nina territory and stay there through to about the start of the new year. And then we see the Arctic Oscillation beginning to lift back up a little bit as we move further on through 2026 with back to ENSO neutral conditions. We may may have a La Nina designated for the winter of 2025-2026. Personally, I'm a bit dubious about it. I think it'll play out very similar to last year, and we'll probably stay on the cold side of being so neutral officially, but it will be interesting to see how all of that works out. Right, we're going to go through sea surface temperature anomalies now, back to 1985 for the Atlantic. Blink and you miss it. I want you to focus on this area. Try, if you can, to block out all of this. It's not happening through there, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean. We're not looking at that. We are focusing, if we can, everyone, on the North Atlantic through here. Let's see if we can pick out some close matches. So we're starting off with 2024. Well, to me, it looks like the Atlantic this year, although warmer than average, is quite a lot cooler than 2024, so I don't think there's much comparison there. 2023 looks like that. Again, I think the Atlantic is warmer in 2023 than it is this year. 2022 looking like that. Again, I reckon, although it's in many areas is above average in the Atlantic this year, it's not as warm as it was in 2022. 2021 looks like that. So again, I think this year not as warm as 2021, especially in this central region through here. Right, let's go back to 2020. Now that one could be a closer match. Let me know what you think in the comments, everyone. I reckon that is a closer match there. That's one that I would sort of tick. But identical. You're never going to get like for like. You're never going to get, or very rarely, with anything in the weather, where you get an absolute like for like match. But I think 2020 is possibly one of the closer years there. Again, let me know in the comments what you think. 2019, well, not as warm with the Atlantic as we have had over several years, but the cooler areas and the warmer areas are rather substantially different to this year, so I don't think there's much comparison to 2019. 2018 looks like that. That's the last year we had like a significantly cooler than average or had significantly cooler than average areas in the Atlantic, really. There's not much comparison this year to 2018, I don't think. That is 2017. Now, could that be a closer match? I reckon so. Again, it's not identical, not like for like, but I think that is a rather close one. So we've got 2020, 2017. Let's go on. That's 2016. So that's back to a period in the middle of the last decade where we had the cold blob. So again, I don't think there's much comparison this year to 2016, although this cold and average area just here, of course, it's much shrunken and not as dramatic this year, but it's probably in the same area. So 2016 could be, going in somewhat the same direction. 2015, again, the cold blob is much bigger in size compared to what we've got this year, much more intense. Atlantic generally warmer this year to 2015. That's 2014 as well. So again, I don't think there's not that much comparison there. 2014. I've got 2020, 2017 as the closest matches so far. Again, please, everyone, let me know in the comments what you think. That is 2013, though. So what do you think about that one? Again, well, quite a warmish Atlantic, but I don't think there's all that much comparison to this year. That's 2012. No comparison this year, really, to 2012 there. Look how warm it was in 2012 at this point around Newfoundland, and then around, like, the Azores. Quite cool with the sea surface temperature. So, no comparison, really, 2012 at this point. 2011 looks like that. That might be a closer match. Generally, the Atlantic quite a bit warmer this year compared to 2011, but that might be a closer one. So it's 2020, 2017, 2011 so far. That is 2010. That's more like what tripole looks like. So warm up here, warm through here, and then tending to be a bit cooler through there. But I would like to see like the east seaboard of states colder. But it was, and the tripole did come back actually as we went into the latter part of 2010. That's like a bit of a tripole that we see there in October 2010. Then we've got not much comparison to this year, I don't think. Well, is there? Is there? let me know what you think, everyone. It's, it's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. That's 2009, so could that be a closer match? Possibly, but, it is warmer this year with the Atlantic compared to 2009. 2008, don't think there's much comparison this year to 2008. 2007, now the Atlantic begins to cool quite a bit, so we're going to start decoupling away from many of these years. The further back we go, the closer, we go to the last century. So not much comparison really this year, 2007. Again, not much comparison this year to 2006 either. That is 2005. Again, I don't think we see much comparison, though that, again, a bit of a tripole signature. So warm up here, warm through there, and then cooler through there. Again, you want to back it more towards the eastern seaboard. Then we've got 2004. So what do you think about that one? So again, not much comparison. The Atlantic is warmer overall compared to this point, 2004. 2003, looking like that. So again, well, there are some slight similarities, but not really. And now 2002, we start going back closer to the cold AMO period. So the Atlantic will start to cool down now. It's like the beginning years of a warm AMO phase, if you like. So 2002, significantly cooler with the Atlantic. 2001, significantly cooler. 2000, significantly cooler. And as we go further back, still, we're not going to do the comparison anymore because there won't be any point really most of the year. But 1999 looks like that, and you're going to see what now a cold AMO, classic cold AMO phase in years look like. That's 1998, that's 1997. That's 1996. Look how the Atlantic is gradually getting cooler and cooler. That's 1995. That's 1994. Look at 1993. So how much colder the Atlantic is in 1993, albeit perhaps affected somewhat by the eruption of Pinatubo. 1992. Check that out compared to what we have right now. Unbelievable differences there between right now in the Atlantic and 1992. 1991, again, no comparison at all to this year. Much, much colder in 1991 in the Atlantic. 1990, that's quite a warm year for the Atlantic at the time, it was anyway, but substantially cooler than we have right now. 1989, we are really now firmly in the cold AMO phase, so all of these years, 1988, 1987, 1986, and finally 1985, looking much, much colder with the Atlantic then, as we go back into the 1980s and we tumble back into the last cold AMO phase. We are expecting the next phase of the cold Atlantic multi-decadal oscillation to begin at any time. We've been in a warm AO phase for 30 years now, since 1995. So, is this cool blob that we've had here is at the start of the AMO beginning to switch into its colder phase. Well, at the moment, that cold blob is shrinking away, but of course, we'll wait and see how things develop over the next few weeks. So I would say, but back to Winter Update anyway, all that's interesting, but not really relevant to Winter Update. I would say, 2020, 2017, maybe the closest matches. 2011, I think it was a pretty good match as well. Maybe 2009. But I'll get myself into trouble if I go on. Let me know in the comments, everyone, what you think. Juxtapose, it shows everyone do that. We'll do that later on, towards the end of the updates in November. We'll see how things change. Juxtapose to Atlantic season temperature is what's going on with the Atlantic hurricane season. So, these are scores of all missed for. We have currently had, for this season, 9 tropical depressions, 9 tropical storms, 4 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. ACE accumulated cyclone energy is a convenient way of working out how much energy each storm and the season overall has emitted. So the classification for accumulated cyclone energy for ACE is below normal, near normal, above average, hyperactive. ACE Master Shrine has been working it all out for us, and this is how things are currently looking in terms of the ace. So for 2025 hurricane season overall, so far we've had an ace number of 91.60. That's after 9 tropical storms, 4 hurricanes, and 3 majors. That's a little bit below par actually, but it is much closer to average than it was a couple of weeks ago. At this point, 4th of October, I expect accumulated cyclone energy to be at 99.00. That'll be after 11 tropical storms, 5 hurricanes, and 3 majors. So it's just slightly down with the numbers, but overall near normal, near average for the 2025 hurricane season so far. And then finally, for this section, and then we're going to move on, have a look at Eurasia snow cover. We're just have a quick look at what's happening with temperatures at 10 HPA over the North Pole. So this blue area here, of course, is the polar vortex setting up at its roots at 10 HPA over the Arctic and over the North Pole. But GFS forecasting, as you'd expect this time of year, that temperatures will continue to get colder in the stratosphere over the North Pole over the next couple of weeks then. And so you see that blue area deepening and expanding out as it does so. So we finish up by the 20th of October with the polar vortex at its roots looking pretty entrenched, pretty ingrained. And that is what you'd expect, you know, at this point of the year. The polar vortex is getting its act together and is reforming in the stratosphere. Of course, we wait to see what tropospheric response that is going to have. I'll just pause the video very quickly, and then we're going to look at Eurasia snow cover, and after that, well, I'll talk about what's happening right at the very end of the video in a moment, but you will not, I promise, want to miss it. And that's not Gav, you know, ramping things up, but you're going to want to stick around to the end of this third winter update, I can promise you. But let's pause the video, and we'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, we're back and we're ready to resume and even climax this epic third winter 2025 testing update. If you've enjoyed this video and you enjoy what we do at GavsWeatherVids, and I know so many of you do, so many of you love the winter updates, I know that's the reason that despite having a second job to do, I'm recording this video at 7 minutes past 1 in the morning right now of Sunday the 5th of October. But that's the reason that I did, because I know so many of you love it. You love these winter updates, and I love doing them. So if you have enjoyed this update, if you are enjoying it, then please give us a like, share it across the socials, you know, and spread the word about what we do at GavsWeatherVids. If you want to support our channel, then we've got the GavsWeatherVids calendar, so you can buy this for £13, £10 calendar, £10 postage and packaging. All you need to do is go to our PayPal account. The link's in the description with this video. Sign into your PayPal account, send £13 to GavsWeatherVids. We'll get the calendar out to you. It's a fantastic product, and you know that's helping to support the channel financially as well. You could also consider giving a donation for our PayPal page if you're not interested in the calendar. You can also super chat on the live stream, super thanks, super comments, and if all of that wasn't enough, can become a channel member as well for £4.99 a month. There will be changes coming to channel membership next year, but I won't go into that in this video. Thank you so much for all of the support over all of the years, everyone. Absolutely incredible. I know I've not been at my best over the past few weeks and probably past few months, really, and I feel sometimes that I do let you down and neglect you all. But please know that GavsWeatherVids is still the greatest love and passion of my life, and you know, it's my creation. It's the only thing I've ever created. Never had any kids, so it's basically my child, and you know, it's the only thing I've ever been a success at. Really, I've been a failure at most things in my life, but GavsWeatherVids is one thing that I've been you know, a success at, and it is really my love and my passion, and it always will be. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all grateful so very much for all of the support, particularly recently and what's been quite a difficult time. Right, okay, so let's crack on. We're going to have a look at Eurasian snow cover next. Way better fan favourite, this one. So we have got this white area here, or we have this white area here when we did the last winter update on that's from Friday the 19th of September, of course. So that is how Eurasian snow cover was shaping up back on the 19th of September, but things have developed over the past couple of weeks, so let's have a look at that. Yes, significant gains have taken place across eastern portions of Russia and of Siberia over the past couple of weeks. How does that compare, though, with recent years? For the first time in our winter updates, we are going to do year-by-year comparison back to 1998, and then next week we're going to go all the way back to the 1960s with a year-by-year comparison, but not this week because I have those season temperatures to do. So, anyway, how do we compare with last year? So, we have got more snow this year across Russia and Eurasia than we had at this point in 2024. In 2023, we look like that. So, I reckon we got more snow cover this year, significantly more across each portions of Russia and Siberia compared to 2023. That is 2022. How are we comparing with 2022? Probably more this year than we had in 2022 there. That's 2021, substantially more snow this year, but at this point in 2021. That is 2020. What do you think about that? So I think we've got more snow this year than we had in 2020. Doing pretty decently at the moment. That's 2019, so we're probably below 2019 at this point, actually. And then that's 2018, so we are ahead of 2018, substantially so for snow. That is 2017. What do you make about that one? Well, possibly that's quite close in terms of overall coverage, but the areas that are covered are rather significantly different. So much further westwards with snow cover at this point in 2017. Interesting though. That's 2016. What do you think about that one? Probably a bit down on 2016. If anything. Right, let's persevere. That is 2015, so that could be quite a close match. Again, please let me know in the comments which years you think we're closest to. We want interaction on these winter updates, so please, I'm begging. Let's begging you. I'm so sorry, but please let me know in the comments which year you think we're closest to. That's Frankie Valley, wasn't it? Frankie Valley, begging. It was re-released recently, so younger viewers will know it as a re-release, but I know it as like the as Frankie Valley. He was amazing. He is amazing, still alive. I've been talking about him in past tense, have I? 2013, we are below 2013, and then that is 2012. So I think we're ahead of 2012. That's 2011, substantially ahead of 2011, and that's 2010, which we are ahead of as well. Okay, 2009, we are way ahead of 2009 for snow cover at this point, and we're way ahead of 2008 as well. That is 2007. What do we make of that year? We're ahead of 2007. That is 2006, substantially ahead of that year, and we're ahead of 2005 also. We're doing really good for snow cover at the moment across eastern portions of Russia, definitely. That is 2004. We're ahead of that year also. And then that is 2003, and the projection changes slightly, but we're ahead of 2003. Now, we're way behind 2002. There was a rapid gain of snow cover during October 2002, and very early in the month as well. So, obviously, we're really substantially, significantly below 2002. That's 2001. So, I think we're ahead of 2001 a little bit anyway. 2000, we're ahead of 2000 also. And 1999, I think we can say we're ahead of that year. Finally, 1998, that could be quite a close match, actually. Perhaps even a little bit behind 1998 overall. Again, everyone, please let me know which years you think we are closest to. We'll do it all over again next week. And next week, we're going to go even further back than that. We're going to go back to the 1960s with our comparisons. Well, the first, or the final thing I should say, well, first thing, what are you talking about, Dad? You've been sitting here rambling on for 45 minutes. No, the final thing, it's very late though. Quarter past 1 in the morning, goodness gracious me, got to get this uploaded, get to bed. The final thing we're going to look at is the Beijing Climate Centre, which you don't normally do in our winter updates. But if you watch the seasonal model rounder for winter 2025-26, the first one was released on Wednesday, you'll know that most of the long-range models were indicating a milder winter, but there are a couple from Asia, the Japanese German and the Beijing Climate Centre BCC, that look colder. And so I wanted to have a bit more of a look at the Beijing Climate Centre on a month-by-month basis. So you won't want to miss this. Don't click off yet. We've got a couple of minutes. Got a couple of minutes to spare. Check this out. So, a bit of eye candy for you to end this winter update. Thank you so much, everyone. Just for fun. So, this is October with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south. This is the sea level pressure anomaly, by the way, for October 2025. Generally, a westerly, rather mixed October being indicated. That's November. High pressure appearing around the UK and Ireland, so turning anticyclonic. That could be like pretty dry, but quite cold and frosty November. But more interesting for December as the high pressure goes northwards. Check that out, becoming a blocking feature between Iceland and Scandinavia. Low pressure down to the south. That's a classic negative AO type pattern, and that will bring the wind in from an easterly direction. That could be a cold December. January's mean sea pressure anomaly lost about a bit of modification in January. The wind goes back perhaps more to westerly, although you notice low pressure across much of southern and eastern Europe. That probably pulls the coldest of the air towards the south and the east of Europe there. If anything, we do lose a blocking up towards Greenland a bit. But then look what happens into February. The blocking comes back again, re-strengthens around Greenland, trough below average heights to the south, and that will bring wind back in from the east and from the northeast. So cold December, perhaps modification, but some cold snap potential for January, and then back to cold into February. Is that where we started with some of those analog winters? It's almost like Gav plans it, which so many of you think I don't. So many of you think I just throw it all together as though for planning goes into it. I do sometimes, plan things out. And that's March finally. We're out of winter now, but still with like a Scandinavian type high signal, potentially winds in from the east. So November is forecast to be a colder than average month for the UK and for much of Europe as well. Quite unusual for these, seasonal models to go for below average temperature. Look at December, freezing cold across western Russia and into northern and northeastern Europe, into the Baltic and Baltic. And that cold does extend into England and Wales anyway in December. Bit of modification into January, not as cold in January. And then finally, February, the cold comes back though, and again a colder than average month forecast there for the UK, for Ireland, and in fact for much of Europe as well. It's just for fun because we're so far out, we can't put any credence on that whatsoever. It can be very interesting. So that's the September update for Beijing Climate Centre. It'll be very interesting. We do get an update. We're a bit patchy now updating that website, but if we do get an update for Beijing Climate Centre in October, it'll be very interesting to see how that works out, and we shall keep you updated because there will be another season one around it coming up for you at the end of the month. Okay, well, what an update. So how long has that gone on for? 47 minutes. I think that is what you call an epic old school style GavsWeatherVids winter update. So if you've enjoyed it, then please give us a like, share, subscribe, share it as far and wide as you can across the socials, and thank you so much for doing that. And as I said a few minutes ago, I love doing these for you. I know so many of you, look forward to winter updates. I look forward to doing them as well. They're one of the favourite things that I get to do, which is why I'm sitting here at nearly 20 past 1 in the morning recording it. And I'm going going to get uploaded. So I better stop rambling on and end the video. But please know, it means so much to me that all of you are still around the channel and enjoying what we're doing at GavsWeatherVids. Thank you so much, everyone. Right, okay, so tomorrow we're going to have a live stream at 7 p.m, I think it will be, where we're discussing this winter update. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be a 6 a.m. broadcast coming tomorrow and a 10 to 14 dayer as well. Please keep checking back to the channel for more. For the epic, we're back in business. For the epic third winter 2025 update from GavsWeatherVids. That's all now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again with more soon. And bye for now.